War is never just a clash of armies. It is a collision of civilizations, of dreams, and of wills. From the fields of northern China to the rivers of the Yangtze, from the fortified cities to the endless countryside, Chinese and Japanese forces fought some of the most ferocious battles of the 20th century. The Second Sino-Japanese War, beginning in 1937, was not a brief conflict. It became a drawn-out war of attrition, dragging millions into its vortex. While Japan wielded advanced weapons, tanks, and modern warships, China wielded something else entirely: sheer determination and the will to resist. In this documentary, we will relive the 10 fiercest battles where Chinese and Japanese forces collided, where victory and defeat were measured not just in land lost or gained, but in the blood and sacrifice of those who fought. 1. The Battle of Shanghai, August or November 1937. The streets of Shanghai, once symbols of commerce and modernity, became rivers of fire and death in 1937. After the Marco Polo Bridge incident in July, the war escalated. Japan's Imperial Army believed they could crush Chinese resistance in mere weeks. But China had other plans. Chiang Kai-shek committed his elite divisions to Shanghai's defense, including Germany-trained troops. General Zhang Zhejiang commanded an army of more than 700,000 men. For 3 long months, Shanghai became a fortress. Japanese bombers rained destruction on civilian neighborhoods. Chinese soldiers fought house by house, floor by floor. Naval gunfire from Japanese warships hammered the city. The cost was staggering. Both sides lost tens of thousands of men. Ultimately, Shanghai fell, but the world was stunned. Japan expected an easy conquest. Instead, they faced one of the bloodiest urban battles in modern history. For China, though defeated, Shanghai became a symbol of defiance. 2. The Battle of Nanjing, December 1937. Flushed with victory, Japanese troops turned their attention to Nanjing, China's capital. General Tang Shengji had 100,000 men to defend the city, but morale was collapsing after Shanghai's fall. The Japanese forces, more than 200,000 strong, surrounded Nanjing and began their assault on December 9th. The battle was short, barely a week, but brutal. Artillery pounded the walls, breaches opened, and street fighting consumed the city. When Nanjing fell, tragedy followed. Tens of thousands of Chinese soldiers who had surrendered were executed. Civilians suffered unspeakable atrocities. The event remembered today as the Nanjing Massacre. The battle revealed the cruelty of modern warfare. While Nanjing's fall was swift, its memory became eternal, fueling China's determination to fight on at all costs. 3. The Battle of Taierzhuang, March-April 1938. In early 1938, Japanese troops pushed into Shandong province. Their goal was to cut Chinese defenses and march on Xuzhou. But at Taierzhuang, they met a wall of resistance under General Li Zongren. Chinese commanders employed brilliant tactics: lure the Japanese into narrow streets and villages, cut their supply lines, and ambush them in close quarters where tanks and artillery became useless. For the first time, the Chinese scored a major victory. Over 24,000 Japanese soldiers were killed or wounded. Captured equipment and morale soared among Chinese troops. The news of Taierzhuang electrified China. Propaganda posters declared it a victory of the people. Villagers cheered soldiers returning from the front. For once, Japan's myth of invincibility had been broken. 4. The Battle of Wuhan, is June or October 1938. Wuhan, China's provisional capital after the fall of Nanjing, became the focus of a massive Japanese campaign. With nearly 1 million Chinese defenders and 350,000 Japanese attackers, this was one of the largest battles of the war. The fighting lasted 4 months. On the Yangtze River, Japanese warships bombarded Chinese positions. In the skies, Japanese Zero fighters clashed with Soviet-supplied Chinese aircraft. On land, trench lines stretched for miles. Chinese forces, though outgunned, held their ground with ferocity. The Japanese suffered heavy casualties, over 100,000 men. Eventually, Wuhan fell, But the prolonged defense bought China precious time to move its industries inland to Chongqing, keeping the war effort alive. Wuhan proved that China, though battered, would not collapse. It was a war of survival, and survival itself was victory. Five, the First Battle of Changsha, September-October 1939. Changsha, the capital of Hunan province, became a repeated battleground during the war. In 1939, Japanese forces launched their first attempt to seize it. General Xue Yue, commanding Chinese troops, implemented a strategy of elastic defense, luring Japanese units into overextension, then cutting them off with counterattacks. The Japanese initially advanced deep into Hunan, but Chinese ambushes severed their supply lines. After fierce clashes in villages, hills, and river crossings, Japanese troops were forced to retreat. The victory at Changsha was more than military, it was psychological. For the first time since Taierzhuang, China had decisively repelled a major Japanese offensive. Six, the Battle of Changsha, 1941. Undeterred, Japan returned to Changsha in 1941 with larger forces. Again, General Xue Yue prepared. His troops dug in, fortifying the city and its surroundings. The battle was savage. Entire hillsides were drenched in blood as wave after wave of Japanese soldiers attacked. Yet once more, the defenders held firm. Using local knowledge and superior positioning, Chinese troops inflicted massive casualties. By the end, Japan withdrew in humiliation. Changsha's defenders had become legends, and the city earned the title, the graveyard of the Japanese army. Seven, the Battle of Changsha, 1942. For the third time, Japan attempted to seize Changsha. By now, both armies understood each other's tactics well, and the fighting became even more desperate. In the summer heat of 1942, tens of thousands clashed. Villages burned, rivers overflowed with bodies, and civilians fled into the mountains. Despite overwhelming pressure, Chinese forces once again prevailed. The defense of Changsha in 1942 became a shining moment in Chinese resistance, proving endurance could outmatch firepower. Eight, the Battle of Changde, November-December 1943. Changde, a city in Hunan, became another flashpoint. Japanese forces launched a major offensive, hoping to crush Chinese defenses before Allied aid could arrive in greater strength. Chinese defenders, vastly outnumbered, fought with desperation. Street fighting raged as chemical weapons, machine guns, and bayonets tore through the city. General Yu Chengwan and his men defended Changde block by block. For weeks, they resisted until ammunition was exhausted. Many units fought to the death. Though the Japanese temporarily occupied the city, Chinese counterattacks soon drove them out. The battle demonstrated China's willingness to fight even against impossible odds, earning admiration from Allied observers. Nine, the Battle of Hengyang, June-August 1944. As part of Japan's Operation Ichigo, the largest offensive of the war in China, Hengyang became a key target. General Fang Xianjue commanded just 17,000 Chinese defenders against over 110,000 Japanese attackers. The siege lasted 48 days. Despite starvation, disease, and constant bombardment, Fang's troops repelled assault after assault, inflicting heavy casualties. In the end, Hengyang fell, but at a terrible cost. Japan lost over 30,000 men. The defenders' courage became legendary, showing that even small forces could bleed the Japanese army dry. 10. The Battle of West Hunan, April to June 1945. The last major battle of the Second Sino-Japanese War came in 1945 at West Hunan. By now, Japan was on the defensive, its empire crumbling. Chinese forces launched a massive counteroffensive with American air support. For 2 months, mountains, rivers, and valleys echoed with gunfire. Japanese positions collapsed under relentless pressure. By June, China had retaken West Hunan, breaking Japanese control in central China. This battle was the final large-scale clash between the two nations before Japan's surrender in August 1945. From the ruins of Shanghai to the desperate defense of Hengyang, from the massacres of Nanjing to the triumphs of Changsha, the war between China and Japan was one of the fiercest struggles of the 20th century. China endured years of devastation, but it refused to bow. Japan, despite its advanced weapons, could never fully crush Chinese resistance. These battles were more than military clashes. They were struggles for national survival. The courage of countless soldiers and civilians ensured that, even in the darkest of times, China would not be erased from history. And when the war finally ended in 1945, the sacrifice of millions had forged not just victory, but a legacy of resilience that endures to this day.